Welcome back, troops, to Let's Tab 59. What a cracking day. Hope you're all well. Out on a 6 miler. It's beautiful. It's great to be out. Just the right weather for tabbing. Back in a t-shirt now, which is so much better than having to pile clothes on because of the weather. Anyway, war movies. That's what we're talking about. War movies. As he crosses a bridge. Bridge too far. War movies. So, not everyone's cup of tea, I know. Me personally, I suppose I do like a good war movie, and I suppose it goes back to my childhood maybe. Growing up in the 60s, most of my family, my dad, my uncles, my grandfather, all ex-soldiers, and growing up in the 60s, obviously we didn't have Netflix or Amazon. Even into the 70s we didn't have that. We didn't have DVD players. We didn't have VHS. We didn't have blockbusters. So the only way you could see a film was to go to the cinema. And of course there was age restrictions on some of the war movies. But the other way was on the old telly box. Now, we had only about 3 channels, I believe. We had BBC One, I think BBC Two come along a bit later. And of course we had ITV. And that was it. And normally, on a Sunday, after Mum had done Sunday dinner, we'd sit down in the front room, my old man had bung a telly on. It'd either be a Western or it'd be a war movie. And of course, back then, there's a lot of the classics. Now, I want to talk about a few war films, and I'd like to know what your favourites are. Let's say you're going to be dumped in the middle of nowhere for a while, and you can take say 10 war movies with you on DVD or whatever, and you could watch them. What ones would you take? I'm going to give you my 10 in a moment, but I'm not going to put them in any order. I'm not going to be the top 10. It's just 10 movies, war movies that I quite like, and we'll get into that in a moment. So, war movies cover pretty much every conflict around the world. Pretty much, not everything, I know. Obviously, World War One, World War Two. There's a few on Korea. Not many on Korea, actually. The Korean War. There's a couple of British films made. I can think Hill in Korea is one of them. But there's not many British Korean War movies. That's quite interesting fact, isn't it? Obviously, lots of Vietnam War movies, and one I do like, it's not in my top 10 actually, but one I do like, Australian guys, The Odd Angry Shot, about the Australian SAS in Vietnam. That's quite a good little movie, Odd Angry Shot. So they cover most of them. Interestingly, there doesn't seem to be any substantial big war movies on the Falklands War. And I wonder why that is. I mean, there it is, it's a terrific feat of arms by the British Armed Forces, and there hasn't been much done on the Falklands War. Not a nice big proper historical war movie. I don't know why, whether it would be of no interest to Hollywood as a blockbuster or something like that. Maybe that's the reason. And you've got some, there's obviously there's the An Ungentlemanly Act. Well, that's I think the first one that I ever saw that come out after that. And obviously that movie depicts the initial invasion of the Falkland Islands by the Argentinian Armed Forces. And at the time, if you've probably seen the film, but roughly at the time there was 2 detachments of Royal Marines on the island. They were in a handover, that's why there's 2 detachments there. And the film really focuses mainly on that initial invasion and the 2 Royal Marine detachments and the Falkland Islands Defence Force doing what they could to resist the invasion. So Ungentlemanly Act, there's that one. Obviously there's another one, Scots Guards one, Lieutenant Lawrence, called Tumbledown, about the Scots Guards fighting up Tumbledown and what happened to him, Lieutenant Lawrence that is. Military Cross, I believe. So there's that one, and I think there's another one called Resurrection, which Again, is I think Scots Guards, I'm not sure, about a young guardsman that during the battle, after the battle rather, is presumed missing in action. They can't find him. And I don't know, a couple of months later, 7 weeks later or so, he rocks up. Sort of amnesia and shell shock, whatever, don't know what's going on. And that's a story about that one. But apart from that, there's a few Argentinian ones been made. There's a few films the Argentinians have made about the Falklands War, but we haven't really done anything. And I think that's a shame. I think we're missing out there because it's well documented. All the history is there. You've still got lots and lots of veterans around that would be able to advise what was happening during different phases of the battle. And I think they could make a really good war movie, accurate historical war movie about the Falklands War. So there's that. Obviously Northern Ireland, the conflict out there. There's a few bits and pieces knocking about. I mean, I think the latest, biggest one was 71. That was quite a good movie. So, war movies have covered all these different conflicts. There's a few been missed out, I'm sure, little conflicts here and there for the British. Anyway, so, getting back to the best, my favourite top 10, and not in order, so I'm just going to reel them off. I've got a bit of paper somewhere. I might have dropped it actually. Might have dropped me a bit of paper. Proper preparation and planning. Okay, so somewhere I've dropped a bit of paper with a load of war movies on it. People are going to find out and think, what's that going on about? What's that about? Anyway, let's see if I can remember most of my top 10. I probably can't now. So one of my favourites, Zulu. That, to me, it might not be accurate in a lot of ways. You could argue that. But for entertainment value, it's quite a good movie, I think. Zulu, Michael Caine. I think that's his debut as well. I think that's when he first become fairly well known. One of his first big movies. And of course, the other thing that you have to remember about that is that Michael Caine, who plays Lieutenant Bromhead, Michael Caine was a veteran himself, a veteran soldier. He served in Korea. So anyway, that's Michael Caine's big break. Great film. Some great lines out of that movie. A lot of them get repeated over and over. So I like Zulu. I think, actually, if I had to place my top film of all of them, I know I said I wasn't going to do this, but I think if I had to, I think I would class number one in my mind, The Longest Day. Black and white film, I know. Someone says you can get it in colour, The Longest Day. Don't know, I've only ever seen it in black and white. Big long film, big blockbuster, full of top stars. The cast is star-studded cast. What I like about The Longest Day is, I think it's made in 62. It's quite accurate, I believe. It's quite an accurate historical depiction of the D-Day landings, June the 6th, 1944. And it covers all different units. You see the American angle, you see the British angle. It's a really, really good movie. And again, interesting in that one of the lead actors in it, Richard Todd, who plays Major John Howard, who was B Company's commander of the Ox and Bucks Light Infantry. They captured Pegasus, what became Pegasus Bridge over the River Orne, which was vital. There's two bridges over there. They both had to be captured because there was two waterways, quite wide waterways. They had to be captured because it had to protect the eastern flank, I believe, of the landings. If they didn't capture those bridges intact and hold them, that was a way that the German army could have counter-attacked across those bridges and rolled up the beaches, basically, right near Sword Beach. So that film, The Longest Day, is one of my favourites. And like I say, Richard Todd was actually a lieutenant in 7 Para who jumped in on D-Day, and the Ox and Bucks went in by glider and captured the Pegasus Bridge. The other bridge had to be captured, and they used 7 Para. And amongst those, as I say, was Richard Todd, Lieutenant Richard Todd, 7 Para. So him playing that part of Major Howard is quite extraordinary, really, because you've got a real D-Day veteran in more or less the same area where he fought during the Second World War. So great film, The Longest Day. And another interesting bit about that, I don't know about you guys, I've visited Normandy about 5 times now, with friends, family, etc., and walked around some of the sites and the beaches, etc. And when I went out the last time, I took a few people with us, and before we went, the night before we went, I put the DVD of The Longest Day on so that they could see the movie. And of course, then when we got out to Normandy, they could relate some of the places we went to, some of the stuff we looked at was from the film. It gave them a better understanding of the bigger picture of the D-Day landings. And there's a great bit on there, I say, about Pegasus Bridge, when the Oxenbucks go in and capture it. So that's probably my top film, The Longest Day. Other films I do like The Inglourious Basterds by Quentin Tarantino. That was a good film. And the latest remake of All Quiet on the Western Front. So I think they've made I think it's the 3rd version of All Quiet on the Western Front, showing the German side of things, I suppose, from World War One on the Western Front, fighting mainly the French. And the latest version, 2022 was it? It's on Netflix or something like that. That's a really good movie as well. Vietnam stuff, Hamburger Hill's quite a good one. Platoon, obviously, Oliver Stone's Platoon, very good Vietnam War movie. Another good top film, Second World War, again, covering D-Day, is of course Saving Private Ryan. I think it is fairly fictitious, isn't it? I don't think it's a true story. I'm not sure, actually. I don't think it is. But anyway, that's a really good film, I think. Special effects that Spielberg done. Tom Hanks plays a fantastic role as the platoon commander, if you like, platoon leader of the Rangers unit that's gone out to save Private Ryan. I think it's very, very dark film in places, very realistic. So that's one of my top ones as well. Great Escape. Now that's a cracker. That's a Christmas Day or Boxing Day special at The Great Escape. I remember as a kid, there'd be certain war movies that would always come on around Christmas. Zulu would be one of them. And The Great Escape would probably be another one. That'd be one that always cropped up at Christmas, The Great Escape. Steve McQueen jumping his bike over the wire fence, and brilliant film. And I suppose fairly accurate in some ways. Not to the letter, but you know, it's telling a true story, part of a true story, based on a true story. So The Great Escape, that's a real favourite. Now I've lost me a bit of paper, and I had some others written down. So I'm just trying to think off the top of my head what they were. Colditz, that's a good one, another good sort of escape war movie. Colditz Castle. Dam Busters. Now, again, Richard Todd plays Guy Gibson, VC, in the Dam Busters raid. That's a classic. I know the special effects on that are pretty primitive, to say the least, but it does tell the story. And I heard that someone was considering doing an up-to-date remake of the Dam Busters, which is something they did with Dunkirk, if you remember. The original Dunkirk black and white war movie. John Mills, I think John Mills plays a section commander in that. I think it's quite a good make-up, actually, the original one in black and white. And then, of course, it was remade a few years ago with obviously a lot better special effects and storyline, etc. So that would be really good. I think if they made an up-to-date version, a remake of the Dam Busters with today's CGI technology, maybe, I think they could do a really, really good job, a gritty job of what is, you know, one of the most famous raids of World War II, the Dam Busters. Talking of RAF war movies, I suppose another one of the real classic ones would have been the Battle of Britain. Again, Michael Caine crops up in that. That's got a lot of stars in it. Richard Burton's in there, I believe. As I say, Michael Caine. There's a lot of top actors in the Battle of Britain. Very, very good movie. And the special effects in that aren't that bad, actually. I think it's 69 it was made, 1969. It's a long time ago. I think the effects are quite good. I don't think that needs a remake. Classic film, Battle of Britain. So that's just my take on a few war movies. I've lost me a bit of paper. I can't remember now off the top of my head. But what I'd be interested in hearing in the comments, if you can, is just one or two, or you can put a list of 10 up if you like, I don't mind. Have a think about, if you like war movies that is, what war movies you like. And also if anyone's got any ideas of why they've not yet made a proper historical account war movie of the Falklands War, I'd be interested. Like I say, I think it might have something to do with Hollywood not being interested in our little war in their eyes. Maybe that's what it is. So, of course, as I said before I go, Iraq and Afghanistan, they've already made a few depicting that. Names off the top of my head escape me, but they've made a few on that. And I think I watched one the other day actually, The Wall. That was quite interesting. Obviously the British one, Kajaki, with the Paras, got stuck by Kajaki Dam and his old Russian mines. True story. So yeah, why haven't we got a decent film on the Falklands War? Maybe it'll happen one day. Anyway, troops, it's enough of my waffle about war movies. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you haven't subscribed, have a look back through my videos first, because you might not like what I do. But please consider subscribing if you haven't. Just consider it. Not saying do it, saying consider it. Anyway, troops, till the next time. It won't be long. Remember, let's tab.